Hello, welcome to Sound and Fairy Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Today I'm doing a book review of David Bischoff's The Infinite Battle. It came out in 1985 from Ace. It is a classic sci-fi. It is my final book review of the year. As you know, next week I'm going to be doing all my wrap-up videos, so reviews will begin on January 2nd or 3rd. So, for this final book of the year, I'm doing an actual classic sci-fi, complete with bingo, and as I said, it's The Infinite Battle. I'm going to be doing a short spoiler-free review first, then the kind of overview, and then I'm going to be doing a short spoiler-free review first, then I'm going to jump into kind of the whole plot, just so you kind of have context for the bingo. So, here we go. Entertaining, action-packed, and full of zany characters, The Infinite Battle is a rather campy sci-fi that knows it's campy and goes all in. What is it about? Woman against the universe. Laura Shemzak, irreverent, rebellious, beautiful. A woman with an impossible mission to rescue her beloved brother, the most brilliant physicist of the Empire, from the awesome aliens, the Jackstron. To succeed, Laura must gain control of the top-secret Mark XT blip ship. And to do that, she is forced into an uneasy alliance with the notorious space pirate, the bitter, cynical Captain Tars Northern. And that's when Laura's adventure really begins. The characters in this book are a delight. Laura is pure chaos. She's impetuous, brash, doesn't give a crap about anything except her brother. She's a pilot and a spy too. Where have you been all my life, Laura? In truth, I couldn't handle Laura. She's borderline annoying at times. The other characters, including Captain Tars, though, work well with her, as Tars is stoic yet very loyal to his crew, and the crew itself is full of fun characters like robots and mad scientists and this nerdy, wimpy guy, and then some other women and an alien. It's great. The only thing I wish we'd seen more of were the Jackstron, because we don't really see them at all, actually, and I guess that's leading into the second book, but that's okay. There's also a couple corporate bigwigs we get to see, and that was interesting because they kind of expanded the world building by showing their perspective. The one woman just really hates her job. It's funny. The writing is great. It's very quick-paced and funny, but very detailed. There's lots of fun sci-fi tropes and technology, as well as aliens, here and there. Most of the story is focused on humans, but we also have an interesting human setup with a very rigid and controlling society, and then those on the fringes who don't want to conform. The story is a bit wonky. It's mainly Laura just trying to get her brother with some fights along the way, but it's enjoyable and it's fun. Overall, it's a quick little romp that is definitely worth the read. I really, really enjoyed it. It's up there in my classic sci-fis I read this year. It's probably not my favorite, but it's definitely in my probably in my top 4 for sure, top 3 maybe. So, I'm going to move into spoilers now. I'm going to give you an overview of the whole plot, and then I'm going to go to my classic sci-fi bingo. So, we have Laura. We have her brother. They are on different worlds. The brother's kidnapped by the Jackstron and made to do puzzles for them. That's all we really see of him until the end of the book. Laura works for the government as a spy, but she's also augmented with the technology to fly this special kind of ship they call a blip ship. The blip ship, I can't remember what's so special about it. I think it can weave in out of between, not between universes, but you know what? I really can't remember what it does. I'm sorry. I read this book a few weeks ago. Anyway, so she tells Command she's going to go and get her brother. They tell her, no, you can't go get him. And she's like, but we need him. And they're like, no, we don't. And she says, well, I'm doing it anyway. So to get to the blip ship, she needs a ride to get there. So she breaks into a pirate ship and takes the crew hostage. And then eventually, after some mishaps and hijinks, she joins their merry band of pirates, I guess. They then go and find her brother. There's this big shootout, and she gets down to the planet where her brother's supposed to be. He comes out of the house where, he's been living, I guess, and then she shoots him. It turns out the government had wanted him dead and had programmed her to react this way when she sees him, because she's got all this tech in her head and stuff like that. So they actually implanted in her the idea that when she sees her brother, she's going to kill him. So she was actually manipulated from the start. They knew she would go see her anyway. They told her she couldn't go because they knew she would, so she wouldn't clue in that they were doing this. It was actually quite a clever little twist. I was like, when she shot him, I was like, what? I had to reread it. I was like, oh, okay. Anyway, the good thing, though, is that he ends up being a robot copy of himself that I guess the Jackstron made. So they decided to go after the real brother. That's the end. Yeah, there's a little bit of not even a romance between her and Tars. They kind of like each other, but it almost feels platonic, almost a brotherly thing. But I don't know, maybe it's leading up to that. But yeah, I liked that actually, that there wasn't just this automatic. I was kind of hoping for a bit of an enemies to lovers, but we don't really get that. But that's okay. So I'm going to go into my classic sci-fi bingo now, starting with outdated science. there is a ROM chip array that you have to insert into like a computer, I guess, to get the information out of it. So tech that needs to be installed manually, I would say, is outdated science versus like downloaded from the internet. I mean, I guess we still do that, but I would consider that outdated. I don't know if you would, probably, right? Like, how many people buy CDs now for their video games? Like, we buy the Switch ones, like the little ones, but that's because it's easier. But like, video games are all on Steam or whatever for me anyway. There's also... She slipped into a comfortable robe, allowed herself the luxury of a narcotic water pipe, and slipped a tape of a popular drama serial she enjoyed into the cube tube. So again, more kind of like physical media. So rather than it being like a disc or whatever, it's a tape. So, I mean, even a tape, like, is it supposed to be a VHS tape? I love that. Next is spaceship blows up. Yes, there was a battle at the end and some ships do blow up. Social changes. Yes, Earth has done away with familial connections and everyone has grown in a vat. Laura and Carl are seen as aberrations because they consider themselves siblings and they love each other in a sibling way. There are medications to control emotions. I guess we kind of have that now, but it's not really control. We're trying to regulate our emotions. We're not trying to completely repress them like Vulcans. And that's kind of like what this is. So the official position of the macrostate upon emotions is that its constituency was simple. The full spectrum of human feelings was acknowledged. However, only certain types were considered healthful for the greater good. Anger, pride, ambition, hatred, altruism, loyalty. These could be expressed, but emotions not considered fruitful for society were frowned upon. Therefore, private disciplines, medications, and more complex methods were used to eradicate these unsocial, painful conditions. So yeah, it's a social change for you. I also love Carl's reaction to this. He's discussing this at one point, and he says, the state can go to hell and toast to pure carbon, which I was like, okay, that's so funny. There's also marriage contracts, like in the movie Cherry 2000, which is an amazing classic sci-fi movie. If you have not seen Cherry 2000, watch it over the holidays, if you take the holidays, because the movie is great. It's one of the best, in my opinion, like movies from that era that is like a B movie. It's so funny, has a great little romance in it, has a great car in it. It's so much fun. There's robots in it. It's just a blast. Sexy female scientist. Nope, we don't have any of those in this. Cool aliens. There are a few here and there, but the best is Chantel. I'll read you what Chantel is all about. Okay. So she goes into this room and she sees him kind of like roughly humanoid shape. She's like looking into this tank. She's like, what is that? And then a long tentacle erupted from the liquid and curled around Laura's midsection, lifting her off the deck. As she struggled, the thing pushed itself up and its head reared over the edge of the tank. Razor-sharp fangs glimmered in the soft light. And then the best part is Laura, to extreme shame, realized that she was screaming. And then it talks to her and has a froggy voice. It looks something like the ooze of an alien. Its face looked like something from the ooze of an alien sea. Its features were shifting, arranging itself into something almost human. So it's kind of like a blob tentacle monster thing. It was fun. Ancient tech and ruins. Nope, there's none of that. Generation ship. There's none of that. Space soldiers. Not really. Not in the sense of like space marines and stuff. These guys are mainly just like pirates. It's not like a Starship Troopers kind of situation. AI and robots. There are lots of robots. There's the one brother copy that I kind of mentioned, but there's also the doctor who on their ship ends up being a sentient AI who has escaped the Friends, whatever the corporation calls themselves. I can't remember. And he's used this to build more robots to help defend the ship, and he can also like hive mind with them and control them. That was really fun. I wasn't expecting that. We also have the one government lady. Her name's Siobhan, and she has this robot kind of AI friend that she uses as like a therapist and also as like, it seems like she has something else going on with this robot, but we don't get into that very much. New worlds. Yep, there is some new worlds. They don't go to too many worlds, but the one that gets a lot of that I thought had a great description was this one. It was the kind of world that might have inspired Dante, and an uninformed visitor might see it as a planet of the damned, a world of the doomed. Not that it was barren or hellishly hot or tundra cold. On the contrary, its physical properties made it look like some tropical paradise. An 86-degree axial tilt and a regular orbit combined with a high water-land ratio made it a planet lush with life, both flora and fauna. And it kind of goes on and on. I'm not sure why. The Dante thing seems to just have disappeared. I don't know. Cyberpunk, no, there's none of that. Blatant sexism. In fact, decidedly not. Women are in positions of power in this book. It's not challenged or thought of as an aberration. Carl references his girlfriend at one point, mentioning in passing that she's an assistant chief operations director. And I was like, this is great. There are multiple women in the novel in various jobs and with different personalities. The only thing I really took issue with was when Laura was judging another woman by her choice in outfit, which I think might have been intended more to show Laura's own insecurities. It's kind of the only male gazy sort of body crawl we get, but it's of a woman doing it to another woman. So I thought that was interesting. I'm going to read it because it's entertaining. Zenyo was the kind of creature, Laura assumed, who lived off the metaphorical blood of others. Her hair was a beautiful, well-kept cloud of chiffon. Her creamy features were no doubt surgically softened from their true harpy nature. She affected a frilled blouse and a bright red trim to her uniform. And worst of all, she was painted. She wore makeup, something you saw only these days on the more decadent colonies like Wonder What and Heidi Ho. Her body, hands, and features moved in a manner calculated to manipulate the sexual interests of males, and only Dr. Mish seemed unaffected by her presence, because he's a robot, we find out. The stench of her perfume wafted across the table, smelling to Laura like swamp gas. Loved this. It was so funny. I was like, it's obviously like a joke on the male gaze thing. So, David Bischoff, I like you. There's another part that I thought was hilarious, but rather unnecessary, but it was really funny. So Laura knocks out this woman in order to take her place to get into the bridge of the pirate ship, where she takes over the ship by like shooting at them. So basically what she does is she knocks out this lieutenant. So she definitely undid the snap fasteners, valves, and bolts of the suit. The helmet lifted disgorged a wealth of blonde, a face of Nordic beauty. "Rise over, dear Valkyrie," she said, stripping the suit. "God damn, woman, how can you walk?" she added as she stuffed the suit's front with towels to make up for her lack of natural padding. Otherwise, the woman's height about matched, so the suit was reasonable, somewhat loose fit. So she's talking about her boobs, obviously. I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, seriously? There's also a star system in the book called The Witch's Tits, which I thought was just so funny. This book is very funny. Anyway, so reptile aliens, we don't have any of those. We don't have any gay characters. We don't have any portals or microfiche. The male MC is a dick? Nope, because the main character is a woman. But Tars, who is not the main character, he's kind of like, he's a secondary character. He's very likable. He's a bit condescending, but Laura did try and take over his ship. And he's also a lot older than her, and he's a bit of a player, but he also cares about his crew, and he isn't a jerk. So I liked Captain Lars, actually. Post-apocalyptic, there's none of that. Wild weapons, yep, we have biotech transference, which is like transferring data to your own brain, into a chip in your own brain to carry that data around with you. Casual field matrix generators, I don't know what those are. Electronic disruptor beams, which apparently just kill you. Racial equality, yeah, one of the crew is a person of color, and he's not stereotyped. It's possible others are, but it's not really mentioned. We only get mentions of the Nordic beauties, apparently. Mind possession, there's none of that. And galactic war, yes, there is a galactic war, actually. The most curious aspect of the vast interstellar conflict was that the human-Daxton War, raged now for almost 5 years, was how few battles had been fought. The free worlds, after all, had principally interested in their own defense. Some had mutual protection treaties with the Federation. Most free worlds consider this tantamount to foxes guarding henhouses, but thus far the Federation had been true to its agreements, confirming its fear of the Jackstrons. The aliens had taken over perhaps 10 worlds, all on their own spiral arm, not yet even venturing across the Gulf. They seemed to be poking and prodding the bulbous mass of free worlds and Federation, testing before taking any kind of bite. The Federation officially claimed that this maneuvering was because of the sound-thrashing Admiral Tarkenton and his fleet had given to the Jackson Armada in the second year of the war in the Aleph sector, but Laura knew that since only 2 or 3 Jackson warships had actually been destroyed, this was more propaganda than anything else. That was I don't know, I thought that was interesting. Tech from today, there's a radio frequency monitor that is basically a Bluetooth, so we have that. And the Bechdel test, yes, this book passes in the first few pages as Laura and Siobhan, the woman who works for the government, they have this huge long conversation. So yeah, that was great. I liked that. Yeah, does it get a bingo? I don't think so. No. But it was a really entertaining story. I highly recommend it. A great book to finish off the year. As we know, the Infinite Battle is coming, and by that I mean Christmas season. So I just had to get all prepped up for that. Yeah, I hope if you celebrate, Christmas, have a Merry Christmas. If not, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, Happy end of 2024. I guess I don't just say that since you're going to be seeing my stats video before the end of the year, but what the heck? I don't know what's going on. Bye.